There is an invisible timeline most of us were taught to trust. You graduate, you work hard, you buy a house, and eventually you retire. But for millions of people, spanning multiple generations, the math behind that timeline no longer adds up. This chart shows the national mood on this exact issue. 85% of working-age Americans are deeply anxious about their ability to ever achieve a secure retirement. That anxiety is rooted in hard data. Right now, nearly 40 million families, about 45% of all working-age households in the country, have exactly $0 stashed away in a retirement account. This slide highlights a massive deficit at the macroeconomic level. We are currently looking at an estimated $14 trillion retirement savings gap across the United States. Past generations could rely on a standard deal. Early career debt was manageable, middle-class wages went further, and the end of the road was protected by strong institutional safety nets. That reliable path has broken down. Without those historical guardrails, individuals are left alone to face an enormous mathematical deficit. The erosion of wealth starts at the very beginning of adulthood. A young professional entering the workforce today doesn't start at zero. They start deeply in the red, weighed down by student loans. The cost of education has surged. Adjusted for inflation, a year of college cost baby boomers about $10,300. For millennials, that number spiked to over $15,600 per year. Taking on that debt has long-term consequences. An average student loan balance of $53,000 expands into a projected lifetime wealth loss of $208,000, mostly by draining resources that should have gone toward home equity or early investments. You can see the damage clearly in the math of compounding interest. If you invest $1,500 monthly starting at age 30, you can accumulate about $1.8 million by age 60. Delaying that exact same routine by just 5 years reduces your final amount to $1.2 million. Missing out on those early contributions ends up costing you $600,000. The true cost of student debt is the permanent loss of early compounding. Young adults are forced to forfeit their most valuable asset, time, leaving them mathematically handicapped right out of the gate. As those workers reach midlife, the pressure changes shape. The oldest millennials are now entering their 40s, yet they hold only 80% of the wealth their parents had at the exact same age. The soaring cost of raising children eats heavily into peak earning years, and families in the top third of income brackets actually spend more than twice as much per child than those in the bottom third. The difference is driven by cultural expectations, like travel sports, expensive summer camps, and designer items. This introduces a psychological trap known as lifestyle creep. As your income rises, your spending increases right alongside it. Luxuries morph into habits, and those habits get rationalized as professional or social necessities. This comparison shows the deceptive math involved. A law firm owner making $300,000 and saving 20% puts away $60,000. If their income grows to $400,000, but they only save $70,000, their raw savings went up, but their actual savings rate dropped to 17.5%. By expanding their lifestyle to consume their new revenue, families quietly destroy their wealth-building momentum during the exact decade they have the most earning power. Eventually, the clock runs out. Near-retirement households hit their 50s and 60s with very little time left to catch up on decades of missed compounding. The data reveals a bleak picture for this group. The median retirement account balance for near-retirement households sits at just $12,000. In the past, companies offered defined benefit pensions, a guaranteed steady paycheck from the day you retired until the day you died. Today, the system has shifted almost entirely to defined contribution plans, like the 401k, where the risk sits squarely on your shoulders. The 55 to 64 age cohort represents the very last group of Americans where a majority of workers still had access to a traditional workplace pension. Every generation following them is completely exposed. Stripping away those systemic safety nets has transformed retirement from a predictable institutional guarantee into an individual gamble. The math of this crisis is brutal, but it isn't a life sentence. Reclaiming your timeline requires a shift in strategy. Most people focus purely on generating more revenue, but lasting wealth relies heavily on maintaining strict financial defense even as your income climbs. Success in this environment requires a commitment to savings rate preservation. Improvements can coexist with income growth, provided the savings percentage stays locked. When that rate remains constant, wealth-building momentum scales up automatically with every raise or business expansion. It means aggressively eliminating early debt to unlock compounding and performing a regular audit on lifestyle creep to ensure your savings rate holds firm. By understanding these generational math traps and treating wealth building as a defensive strategy, we can repair our personal financial timelines and reclaim our futures.